And just like that, it was over. The Georgia high school basketball season came to an end at the Macon Coliseum with the state championships, setting the stage for what's to come this travel season. I'm Cory McCartney, along with RYZE Hoops' Dan McDonald and Carter Wilson, here with a rewind fast forward as we look back at those title games and what lies ahead this spring and summer. Guys, good to have you back in.
Thanks, Cory.
Thanks, Cory.
Now, we're going to start off with what went down in Macon and championship storylines. Dan, what was it that stood out most to you?
Yeah, I would say just the fact that, Milton was able to kind of get back to where they wanted to be last year. They came up just short last year. And this year they started off 2-2. And I mean, Coach Whitehart scheduled them a ridiculously tough schedule. And they had a couple of early losses, but finished the season winning 26 straight. And still, like I said, the schedule was brutal for them. So they went through a complete gauntlet to get here. And I know that I saw some of those guys yesterday. They were exhausted, but they were also feeling pretty good about themselves for accomplishing winning in Georgia's highest classification. And they may actually have a chance to play in the Geico National Tournament here in a couple of weeks too. So get their chance to see if they're the best team in the country from here.
Yeah, Cannon Carlisle came up big in that game, 8 of 10 free throws in the final minutes. It's Milton's first title since 2012. Carter, there weren't a ton of upsets, but a pretty big one in 3A.
Yeah, I think the Cross Creek one was definitely the biggest surprise that we had, for sure. I think the grand thing of all the games was kind of the experience factor and just guys that play with a chip on their shoulder and play hard. And Cross Creek is that team, like to a T. Their backcourt played really well. Richard Visication was a guy that, nobody could really stay in front of. Devin Pope scored it really well. Corey Trotter held his own on the inside. And they have a really good sophomore, Antoine Lorick, he's going to be a name that a lot of people hear a lot from. He kind of took that matchup with Jabari Smith and did what he could with it. Obviously, it's impossible to completely stop Jabari Smith. But, yeah, he played him really well and he played him really tough. And I think that was a big factor in it. But they play so hard, and they've been kind of that hidden gem all year, kind of outside the Atlanta area. I got a chance to see them when they came here to the Wheeler Tournament of Champions back in December, and I really liked the way they played, and that kind of carried through everything. And congrats to them. I mean, it was a great game and a great performance.
Yeah, the storyline will be an upset, but certainly some redemption there too for Cross Creek. They lost to Woodward Academy in last year's final. Now, as we turn our attention to the travel season, we know there's going to be some guys that really emerge as the talk of the circuit. So give me a name that you guys think is really going to pop this travel season. Carter, we'll start off with you.
I really like what I saw from AJ Barnes at Eagles Landing. I think he's going to be a guy that he doesn't have a whole lot of attention yet, but that's going to change very, very quickly. He was the region player of the year down there. Obviously winning the state championship. He played really well in the state championship game, but he's a guy that has good size on the wing. He's got good athleticism, but he plays with like this alpha dog mentality where he is always in attack mode. His foot is always on the gas. And I think that that's going to be a huge thing going forward for him. He gets to the rim. He scores it really well. And when you combine all of those factors with what he has physically and athletically, like he's definitely going to be a guy that Division I coaches are going to be all over.
All right, Dan, who do you have circled?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jalal McKie from Westlake. I watched him in their matchup against Kell earlier in the state tournament, and they didn't win. I think they ended up losing by 15, but Jalal had 31 points, and it was just a really smooth, efficient 31 points. I mean, he's got a really nice shot. He scores at all three levels and just kind of plays at a really nice pace, just never gets too sped up. Defensively, he's got these long arms. He gets his hands on a lot of deflections and block shots, and he's tough on the boards. He's just a kind of really versatile, productive dude that I think coaches really kind of value these days. So I would expect to see him, see his recruitment take off. I know Florida State's been involved, Georgia's been involved, and I believe VCU and several others. So we'll see where his recruitment goes. But I think he's a guy his life's going to change these next 6 months or so.
Well, on the topic of the travel season, the RYZE Hoop Series gets started March 27th and 28th with the RYZE Tip-Off Classic. Find out more about that and all of Carter and Dan's coverage at ryzehoops.com, and be sure to follow RYZE Hoops on Instagram and Twitter. Fellas, thanks as always.
Thanks, Cory.